Hello and welcome to my first Magic Arena gameplay video. Today we're taking a look at the mono red deck that I've been playing a lot on stream recently. And as you can see here, we're in the deck editor from Magic Arena. These weird looking cards are called wild cards. You can use them to unlock cards of a specific rarity. This one's the common wild card, so we can use it to unlock common cards that we haven't unlocked yet. This is the uncommon one, so we can use this to unlock uncommon cards. So before we go over the deck list, I want to remind you that the game is still in beta, so lots of the things you see might still change as the game keeps developing. And the deck I'm presenting today is still far from finished, since we're still missing lots of rares and mythic rares, but we'll be unlocking those as we keep playing the game and unlocking more wild cards. So for now, let's quickly go over the list so you have an idea which cards to expect. In the 1-drop slot, we have 4 copies of Fanatical Firebrand, a 1-mana 1/1 with haste that we can also tap and sacrifice to deal 1 damage to any target. Then we have 3 copies of Magma Spray, cheap removal that also exiles the creature when it dies, so can tag along with an Abrade or a Lightning Strike to take out the almighty Scarab God. Then we also have 2 copies of Rigging Runner, 1-mana 1/1 with Raid and First Strike, and if you trigger Raid, you get a +1/+1 counter, and I believe you got 2 of these in the red-black pirate aggro deck that you start out with as one of the 10 pre-built decks. Then in the 2-drops, we have 2 copies of Abrade to deal 3 damage to a creature or destroy an artifact, which you also got from the starter decks, so you didn't need to craft it with one of the wild cards. Then we have 2 copies of Burning-Fist Minotaur, which we recently made with some of the uncommon wild cards. 2-mana 2/1 with First Strike that can also get +2/+0 if we discard a card. Then 4 copies of Earthshaker Khenra, which we spent 4 of our rare wild cards on. Very powerful 2-drop 2/1 with haste. When it enters the battlefield, you can prevent a creature from blocking if it matches or is less than the Khenra's power. And then you can also eternalize it for 6 mana, making it into a 4/4 with haste and the same effect. Then we also have 2 copies of Fathom Firebrand, which also was in the red-black starter deck, and a great 2-drop since you can use the activated ability to give it +1/+0, so plays nicely around counterspells. Then we have 2 copies of Goblin Trailblazer, 2/1 with Menace. Not sure which one of these 2-drops between the Firebrand, the Trailblazer, and the Burning-Fist Minotaur is the better one, but we're just trying out a few of each. Then I have 4 copies of Lightning Strike, one of the first uncommons that I made with my uncommon wild cards, 3 damage to any target. And along with Lightning Strike, I also made the 4 copies of Ahnn-Crop Crasher with my uncommon wild cards, 3-mana 3/2 with haste that can exert to prevent a creature from blocking. Then we also have 1 copy of Captain Lannery Storm as a 3-mana 2/2 with haste that makes a treasure. When she attacks, then you can sacrifice a treasure to give her +1/+0 until end of turn. And you also got Captain Lannery Storm in the red-black pirate deck you start out with, so didn't need to craft her. Then we have 2 copies of Frilled Deathspitter, a 3-mana 3/2 with Enrage, dealing 2 damage to an opponent. And this one's also in the red-green dinosaur deck you start out with, so didn't need to make him. And then we have 2 copies of Open Fire, essentially copies 5 and 6 of Lightning Strike, which costs 1 more, but is still pretty decent, and it's a common, so pretty easy to make with your common wild cards. And then our more expensive creatures, we have 1 copy of Captivating Crew, 4-mana 4/3 with an activated ability that lets you take control of one of the opponent's creatures until end of turn, and this one was also in the red-black pirate deck. And then 2 copies of Hazoret the Fervent, which of course is the all-star of the red deck, 4-mana 5/4 indestructible with haste, can't attack or block unless you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, but her activated ability helps you empty your hand as you can pay 3 mana to discard a card and deal 2 damage to each opponent. And of course Hazoret we also had to make with our mythic wildcards. We opened 2 mythic wildcards so far and used both on Hazoret. And then last but not least, 1 copy of Charging Monstrosaur, uncommon 5-mana 5/5 with trample and haste, which also starts out in the red-green dinosaur deck, so didn't need to craft him. And then our mana base, 17 mountains, 1 Ramunap Ruins, which we can also use together with our Sunscorched Desert to get some free damage, and both Ramunap Ruins and Sunscorched Desert we had to make with our wild cards. So that's the deck, and now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. And looks like we're playing against our friend here. And this hand looks keepable. And we could play out the Rigging Runner, but I think we can wait. Let's get that thing out of here. Alright, they came prepared for the red matchup. So I think we just get in, play 2 rigging runners. Pretty straightforward. Let's just scan right up. So it looks like we're both stuck on 2 mana here. But we have the superior board state at the moment. Another Martyr of Dusk is gonna make things a bit trickier. I think we just attack with everyone, see what happens. Opponent goes for the double block. Sure. We'll probably abrade one of the 2 1/1s. And then if we can resolve Hazoret, should be able to win the game unless they have Ixalan's Binding or Cast Out as answers. And their opponent only having Ibnu Rivulet as their blue source is also hurting them. Alright, so here I think we just take it. And then abrade the blocker. Adorned Pouncer now as well. So we can kill the Pouncer, which blocks the Khenra. Another Khenra is nice. All right. So didn't even need the Hazoret here. Sweet. Prosperous Pirates, would you look at that? Alright, let's keep battling with the red deck. And we get a rematch. This sound seems fine. Search for Ascanta. Opponent gets to filter their draws. Can also maybe put some embalm creatures in the graveyard. But we have a pretty good 2-drop here. And we can follow that up with a few Earthshaker Khenras. Martyr of Dusk. So here we can just Earthshaker, prevent the Martyr from blocking and have a pretty decent attack. And then still have Magma Spray back. Double search for Ascanta. Probably not where they want to be. Compulsory rest, sure. So we don't have to Magma Spray here, since we have the second Khenra. And I think I'll play the other Firebrand over pumping the first one, just to empty your hand for Hazoret. Which I guess could have been a reason to Magma Spray right there, but if our opponent maybe plays an Adorned Bouncer, we would rather kill that, or maybe even a Sacred Cat. So opponent has treasure map in the graveyard, so 4 cards total. So here we can just Magma Spray Sacred Cat and make some decent attacks. This looks fine. We're gonna open fire end of turn, since we want to empty our hand for Hazoret. And we've got 6 points of burn in hand, not counting Hazoret, so. Anointer Priest, that's a decent one here. And I think we just prevent the 1/3 from blocking. And then Lightning Strike should be able to clean up here. Champion of Wits. Maybe looking for a second Sacred Cat to embalm, but with the Shafat Junes, losing them 1 life, they also need a basic Plains. And then they can gain 2 with the Anointer Priest, if they find a second creature to embalm. But 1 Sacred Cat's not gonna do it. Alright. And the reward, Legion Conquistador, which we already have 4 of, so that probably increased our vault by a little bit. Not mulliganing this hand. Looks like they're on dinosaurs instead. So turn 2 Trailblazer, turn 3 Crasher, turn 4 Crasher, turn 5 Hazoret hopefully. Alright, let's see if they have another one. Looks like Ahn-Crop Crasher is good to go. And our opponent has a Raging Regisaur. Alright, so here we have an interesting decision. We can play the Crasher Exert, hit our opponent for 6, but then we can't actually play the Firebrand since it just dies to the Regisaur, so we're just gonna have to sacrifice it to deal 1 damage to the opponent, or we can trade and then use a Firebrand to finish off the Regisaur, which is a 2-for-1 in the opponent's favor, but the thing here is that we have Hazoret in hand, so we can kind of ride Hazoret to victory, regardless of what our opponent tries to do. Although, hitting our opponent for 6 is also pretty tempting. I think we're better off trying to play conservatively and give the opponent the option to trade for the Crasher. Should not have played my land pre-combat to not tip our opponent off here. We're just gonna play defense and rely on Hazoret to get there. The red-green deck is probably not gonna have a single answer to Hazoret. Alright, now that they showed Plains, they might have answers to Hazoret. But we're just gonna play Lannery Storm here. No need to exert. So that's a pretty efficient turn as well. And do we use a treasure to get in for an additional point? I don't think we do, since if we draw a land next turn, we could still... I guess it doesn't matter. We can still attack with Hazoret. But we might be able to trade up if we save the treasure for next turn. And the 1 damage probably doesn't matter too much. So I'll just get in for 5. Second Hazoret, alright. That means we have to play the land. And attack with everyone. Opponent suspiciously keeping up a lot of mana here. They could have some flash creatures like Samut. Does that mean we want to exert the Ahn-Crop Crasher? It's probably fine to do so. And we're unlikely to die on the way back. Alright, if our opponent goes straight to damage, I'll just use the treasures right now. And use Hazoret's ability. Alright. Ancient Brontodon. Too bad it's not Thrashing Brontodon. This hand seems good. All we're missing is a Hazoret. So here, just gonna run out the Firebrand. Allows us to play around counter spells nicely with the activated ability. And we can even add the Firebrands. If our opponent just goes Island Go, we can play Firebrand, activate the Firebrand, and get in for a nice 6 points of damage. Or 5 points, my mistake. Opponent went Plains Go, so we're gonna play around Acid Scatter here by playing the Firebrand. Looks like they might not have anything after all. Attack with everyone. Pump the Firebrand. Alright, now we'll play Captain Lannery Storm, I think. Since then we can still activate the Firebrand if this resolves. It does. So our opponent's just super dead here. So a nice pirate aggro start double Firebrand into Fathom Fleet into Lannery Storm. Opponent with farm, from farm to market. Play land number 4 and say go. So now we actually have to put on our thinking caps because our opponent could be keeping up Saddle Wreckage. We don't want to walk into a Saddle Wreckage here, which means I think we just attack with the Fathom Fleet Firebrand, which we can pump anyways. On the other hand, we don't want to give the opponent too much time in case they drop a Regal Caracal next turn. Suppose we could also just play the Crasher. If they don't counter it, we just attack with the Crasher. And then we keep the Firebrand, which actually goes nicely if we have spare mana from the Saddle Wreckage. Might actually be okay here. Resolves. So I think I'm just attacking with the Crasher. Could also attack with one Firebrand, but it's pretty likely they have a Saddle Wreckage. If they have another farm to market, I guess we would want to attack with more than one creature. So this is definitely a tricky spot. I think we just attack with the Crasher. Alright. An opt, so they might have another farm to market perhaps. Nope. Alright. So this doesn't mean that they don't have the Saddle Wreckage, they could just be being patient here. But we have double Firebrand, which puts them at a virtual 2 life. So we can just attack with the Crasher once again. Which forces them to use it. Yep, there it is, so glad we played around it. Exile all attacking creatures and get a land for each one of them. So we successfully played around a card. Always feels nice. And then second main, I think we do play the Crasher just to use up our mana, since there's no Fumigates we need to worry about. And there we go. 4 mana Path to Exile, not the best card. But Saddle Wreckage can definitely lead to some blowouts, especially in a top deck situation. This hand I don't think we can keep. Alright, I'll keep this with the Scry. And hope to find some lands. Alright. Opponent with opt. We're just gonna play a Trailblazer. Gets met by an Essence Scatter or Sensor. Does not. Are they playing a second color? Chart, of course, might be able to tell us. Nope, just discards an island and then plays Submerged Boneyard. Alright, so we want to take this opportunity to get in there with the Crasher. For mana, opponent says go. So here we're just attacking for 5. And then maybe playing a creature post-combat. Moment of Craving, not gonna Lightning Strike in response. Maybe if we had a Magma Spray. And I think I'm okay getting the Captivating Crew countered, since it doesn't do a whole lot in the matchup, and if we draw land next turn we can go Deathspitter plus Khenra. Opponent cycles Illumination instead. And this also survives Moment of Craving as well as Golden Demise. If our opponent taps out for Scarab God, they're in trouble. Opponent just passes. Alright, so this is Khenra plus Rigging Runner. They actually have the Vraska's Contempt, and not gonna Lightning Strike in response. This opponent gained 4 life already, but we should still be in okay shape. And now if they have a Scarab God, we could be in trouble. Instead they're just Supreme Willing to look for some answers. I guess now Golden Demise would be pretty decent. But they don't find anything and they're dead. Alright. So don't think we lost any games with the red deck. We've got a bit of gold to spend here, and I still haven't opened the 3 packs that we got for the week. And we're pretty close to unlocking the vault, so hopefully we can get there by opening our boosters, so we can buy 3 more here. So let's start by opening some Ixalan packs. Let's see, our rare, Darefleet, a Ravager, not the best. Hour of Devastation, common wildcard, and Nimble Obstructionist. Could see some play. And Amonkhet. We've got an uncommon wildcard, nice. And a rare is a Shelter Thicket, that's actually quite useful. Alright. So, 3 packs we can buy. Which one should we get? I think I want to keep buying Amonkhet here to try and get some of the cards for the red deck. Some Glory Bringers would be nice. So, let's buy 3 Amonkhet packs. And a rare. Fetid Pools, alright, not bad. Throne of the God Pharaoh. And our final pack. Another Magma Spray, common wildcard, and a rare. A Mouth to Feed. So I think that's the 3rd one now. And looks like we have enough to open the vault. So let's open the vault. So we get 2 uncommon wildcards, a rare wildcard, then a random mythic, rare, and I think this is an uncommon. The rare is Arch of Vraska, nice. Can actually put that in some of our decks. And the mythic is Overflowing Insight, so not the best. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed. And as always, have a nice day. I also want to thank all my patrons for supporting the channel, and you can do so yourself as well over at patreon.com/LegenVD, where you get cool rewards for supporting the channel, as well as getting us closer to our goals, where with every goal reached, we will release an additional weekly series. So if you want to see more content, Patreon is the place to go.